Good morning, friends. I hope you are enjoying this beautiful spring morning. I'm out here at Puda Creek near my home in Davis, one of my favorite places to walk. And it felt like the perfect opportunity to record a practice I've been wanting to share with y'all for a while. It's a practice that invites us to work directly with another living being, in this case, a plant. And there are many really good reasons to incorporate other life forms into our spiritual or meditative practices. Couple that I want to highlight: by extending our attention from ourselves and out into connection with another life form like a plant, that does a few things for us. First of all, it really gives us a lived sensation of our particular place in the web of life. It kind of gets us out of our kind of singular notion of ourself as an individual, and it reminds us that intrinsically we are interconnected with all of life, that we are the same as the life around us. We are in a reciprocal relationship with all of the life around us. All of the resources that we need to sustain our individual life are intimately networked with every other life in the system, not just the ones in our immediate environment, but all of life on this planet and perhaps beyond. And so we are so habituated to experience ourselves so individually that we forget. And that causes all kinds of trouble in our own life because we're cutting ourselves off from resources. We're cutting ourselves off from an awareness of how much bigger we are than our individual experience. Quite a bit of loneliness and isolation sensations and the feeling of not belonging. So much of that is rooted in forgetting that we're actually always intimately, intrinsically connected with all life around us, and that every resource that we need is available to us, and every resource that is needed by the life around us is something that we actually can contribute back. So again, bringing our attention to that reciprocal nature of life. So this practice is a simple one that can be done almost anytime, anywhere, and that, particularly when practiced regularly, can kind of habituate our system to remember our inherent interconnectedness, our inherent vastness and resourcefulness by remembering our place in the web of life. It's a practice that is simple and also draws fully on what in the Japanese origins of the system of Reiki and other Japanese systems of practice would be called Sanmitsu, the three mysteries. And this is bringing our attention to the three ways in which our life expresses itself. The vitality of our life interacts with the vitality of the life around us. It's how we understand the world around us. And again, in its simplicity, it can bring us to incredibly deep places. And those three mysteries are that we experience the world through our bodies, through our mind and our heart. And often in Japan, the mind-heart is conceived of as a joined system, so the mind-heart, and through our breath, and through our voice, which is another aspect of breath. So Sanmitsu, the three mysteries of our body, our mind-heart, and our breath or voice. So many practices from many traditions all over the world will engage those three aspects of ourselves. We'll integrate them, we'll bring them together into a joined practice. And so we're going to do a little bit of that today. So when I shared this practice in a group recently, somebody titled it tree respiration. So I liked that title, so that's what I will call it, tree respiration. So I am sitting in front of a tree right now. The tree is kindly holding my camera for me because I didn't bring a tripod out here today. And so I'm going to be working with this tree in front of me. So I'm going to invite you, if you'd like to do this practice with me, to pause and to get a plant, which can be a potted plant in your home. You can go outside and work with a plant growing in your yard, or you can go outside to a natural space like this. Any way in which you are sitting face to face with a living plant. So if you'd like to do that now, just go ahead and pause the video and get yourself set up. So once you're set up with your plant, you put your body in a position for practice. So beginning with the body, All of the components of a practice like this are intended to help to focus our attention on the experience and the realization that we're hoping for. And so in this case, we're going to set our body in a way that is alert and also relaxed, that is upright, facing our plant, allowing our belly to be soft and supported by a nice strong back so that the breath can move in and out of the body without restriction. We might take a couple of breaths to really invite that relaxation of the belly. We can often hold our bellies tight, and so it sometimes can take a little bit of attention to let them relax. I just invite you to do that now. We will also be working with a particular gesture in this practice, engaging the body through a little bit of movement and gesture. So once your body feels settled in a position that's both alert, relaxed, supported, belly soft, back strong, just invite you to set your intention to be in practice. And this can be as simple as just, I intend to practice. But again, these steps that help to bring our attention in from all of the distractions of our life into this particular moment, this particular opportunity to remember who we are as we work with this plant. Our attention is an incredibly powerful, one of the most important tools that we have at our disposal when it comes to really anything. But in this case, being in an effective meditative or spiritual practice. And so we kind of build in these steps that slowly call our attention back to right here, right now. So setting an intention to be in practice. And then let's engage the breath. So gently bring your attention on your next breath to the motion of the inhale, moving in the body, down into the belly, letting the belly be soft so that it can expand with the breath. We want the belly to move with the breath rather than the chest. We want that breath to come down low in the body in a very natural way. This is the way infants breathe. If you ever watch a baby sleeping, their belly moves up and down, not their chest. So our body remembers how to do that. For the next few rounds of breath, just practice following the breath with your attention in and down. Letting the breath gently call your attention inward. And beginning to engage the mind now that we have brought our attention inward. So our mind has come out from the outside in. I'm going to invite us on our next round of breath to follow the breath with our attention down into the low belly and rest here. Our low belly at the base, the center of our body, close to the earth. From the perspective of the system of Reiki from its origins, we would say that this low belly is where our true self always lives. And that healing means remembering the wholeness of our true self, allowing it to express its wholeness in our life. And so we begin and invite that process by simply bringing our attention here to our center with the breath. And as you do, I'm going to invite you to imagine that here at the center of your low belly, you find a spark of life, a great bright light, the form of your true self, burning here at your center at all times. And you might sense this spark, you might imagine it, you might envision it as something. Just allow it to come into your imagination in whatever way it does today. The great bright light of your true self at the center of your body, your low belly. And as you bring your attention to this light, sense or imagine that it begins to grow brighter as you inhale, and as you exhale, it begins to expand in all directions to fill you and surround you. And with each round of breath, follow this pattern. Breathing in, attention to your low belly, to the light here. It grows brighter. Breathing out, it begins to expand in all directions to fill you and surround you. This practice is step one, and it is the foundational practice that builds the system of Reiki from its Japanese origins, a practice that is found in many different systems within Japan, connected to its Shinto lineage. And the name for it is Joshin Kokyoho, a method to focus the mind. So taking a couple more breaths here in Joshin Kokyoho, as we let our bodies settle. Now you could stay here in Joshin Kokyoho as long as you like. This is a complete practice in and of itself. But when you're ready, we'll begin to work with our plant companion. And so on the next round of breath, again, bringing your attention in and down to the low belly as you inhale, connecting to that light, it begins to expand. And this time, as you exhale, I invite you to imagine that expansion moving downward from your center down into the ground, as if from your bright, nourishing center, you could release roots down into the earth below. And so with each breath on the exhale, just gently invite that energy at your center to expand downward into the ground, like roots reaching into the soil. You can take your time here, pausing the video if you would like to spend some more time with this part of the practice. And as you do, I invite you to gently, as if those roots were growing outward in the soil, sense or imagine those roots connecting with the roots of your plant companion. Even if your plant is growing in a pot inside, you can imagine its roots extending down into the earth, and underneath the soil they gently intertwine with each other. It's now known that plants communicate quite a bit and share resources quite a bit through their roots with each other. So we're going to bring into our imagination this exchange as if reaching out to shake the hand of a new friend. Hello, how are you? It's good to meet you. And let's just spend a few breaths in this introduction between you and the plant deep inside the earth. And then when you feel that that introduction has been made, that there's a connection between the two of you, I'm going to invite you into a reciprocation, an exchange between you and this plant. There's a very literal exchange that we mammals have with plants, which is in our life-giving breath. We exhale carbon dioxide that they need to live, and they exhale oxygen that we need to live. We have been inside of this reciprocal relationship of giving and receiving, of resourcing, of sharing in a sustainable way for millennia. And in this practice, we'll have a direct experience of that exchange. We're going to bring our attention to the miracle of this exchange and the intimate connection that it gives us with the plants around us. And so I'm going to invite you into a gesture that I'm doing now. And you can begin by bringing a hand to your heart and one at the low belly. So place one hand at your low belly, your grounded place, and place one hand at the chest. And then on a round of breath, you'll inhale into the belly as we've been doing. And as you exhale, begin to make the gesture of a figure 8, the infinity symbol, moving out from your chest towards your plant. And on the inhale, bringing it back in towards you. As your breath moves out of your body, your hand moves in a gesture towards the plant, a gesture of giving. And as you inhale, the hand moves back, completing that infinity symbol, that figure 8, bringing the breath back into the chest, into the heart, into the lungs. We're just following at the own pace of your natural breath. Following this gesture of giving and receiving, of sharing. With each breath, truly resting your attention on the interconnection between you and this plant, your shared space in the web of life. And as you continue to breathe and move in this way, engaging your body, your mind, your heart, and your breath in this practice. I invite you to notice the sensation of gratitude. As you breathe in this life-giving gift of the plant kingdom, feel the love that is just inherent in that. And as you breathe out, sharing gratitude and love back. And I invite you to stay in this practice for as long as you like. In its simplicity, it's a practice that deepens over time. And when we really choose to rest our attention on this exchange, quite a bit can open up in how we feel, what we think, how we relate to the world around us, how resourced we feel, and what we believe is possible. And so stay here for as long as you like. And when you feel ready to come to close, I invite you to rest your hand on your heart, with that other hand still on the belly. And just take a couple of easy breaths here, just noticing how you feel. And then when you feel ready, offering a gesture of gratitude to your plant companion, collaborator, life giver. Setting your intention to close your practice at this time and following your breath on an exhale up and out from the center of your being, out into the space around you. Ready to re-enter your day. So I hope this practice is nourishing for you. I invite you and encourage you to try it out a few times. See what the impact is. You can do this practice with any living thing, a plant, an animal, another person, teeny tiny little microbes in the soil. It's really a practice that invites us to expand our awareness of how much life there actually is around us. Practically anywhere we could find a spark of life to connect with. So try it out. I'd love to hear how it goes. If you have any questions, please share them below. And if this practice has been nourishing for you, I invite you to share it with others who might appreciate it. And until I see you again, may you be well provisioned this day and in all the days moving forward. I love you. Goodbye.